Hello everybody, welcome to the United Stand as Manchester United lurch from one PR disaster to another under INEOS and the Glazers. Some might say that Sir Jim Ratcliffe's acumen to be a owner of Manchester United simply relies on the fact that he's got a British passport and was born in the Manchester area. But actually, there is so much more to that can be learnt. INEOS acquired Nice in August 2019. There is so much from that story that can be learnt about how they did in football and what could be going on at Manchester United. For me, I think there is so much that INEOS could have learnt from that time at Nice and so much that we can learn as Manchester United fans as well, because ultimately, I think they failed. Their task when they came in 2019 was to take Nice consistently into the Champions League and be the club that battled with PSG for the French league title. I mean, look, even that would have been far-fetched, but to battle with them, maybe be second place consistently, that hasn't happened. When you look at the 5 years before Nice were acquired by INEOS and the 6 years afterwards, you could argue they were better off without INEOS, even though INEOS admittedly did go in and spend more money. So what can we learn and why did it go wrong? Sir Jim Ratcliffe came into Nice, as I said, in 2019 with some very strong statements. None bigger than, we made mistakes at Lausanne, which is the Swiss club they already owned. But we are fast learners. These have been rectified and we're already seeing the benefits. Clubs need to be successful off the pitch as well as on it, and Nice will be no different. Sounds very familiar, doesn't it? And some other familiar things as well. In 2021, the new director of sport at Nice was none other than Sir David Brailsford. Sir Jim Ratcliffe even appointed his brother as the CEO at Nice. So why has it gone wrong and what does this mean for Manchester United? Well, ultimately, it went wrong because they made lots and lots of mistakes. In the previous 7 years at Nice, I think they had 3 managers. In the 6 years post INEOS acquiring Nice, they've had 6 different managers. There has been lots and lots of change and upheaval at Nice under INEOS. And this has been echoed by their own defender, Dante, said it a few years ago. Fans have been very unhappy with the Nice ownership and the disruption there. They have spent money, but the biggest complaint about INEOS from Nice fans and those observing the Nice project is a lack of football knowledge. There's been a lot of good intent, but a massive amount and lack of footballing expertise. And I think that is demonstrated by the fact that in the previous years, 5 years before INEOS came in, Nice had, I think, pulled in about a £45 million profit. Since INEOS have acquired Nice, it's actually been over a £100 million loss. So they have spent money. They have thought bigger. They have gone bigger, but they haven't backed it up with football knowledge. And I think that is many a Nice fan's complaint is that, yes, INEOS came in and did spend money and they did have big dreams, but it's just not worked out. In fact, when you look at their league finishers under INEOS, 1 third position, 2 fifth positions, 1 sixth position, and 2 ninth positions. And yet, in the previous 5 years, they actually finished in the top 4 twice, something INEOS have only managed once with all that money. So it's not that INEOS failed at Nice, it's just that they spent a lot more money, had a lot more ambition, and basically replicated what had gone on before, with a lot more upheaval and a lot more spend. That, to me, is very surprising when we bring it to Manchester United, because I look at Manchester United and beyond all the spin from the media and certain United fans who literally, I think, want to ignore what happened at Nice and ignore the parallels and ignore the fact that Sir David Brailsford was there for years and that Sir Jim Ratcliffe bought it in 2019. I think they just want to go, it's not Sir Jim's fault. He's just a Man United fan from Manchester who's starting out in football, but he's not. He actually has a footprint of failure in the French league based on spending money badly and changing managers regularly. It's haphazard, it's chaotic, it's not structured, and it really does show a level of arrogance, I think. A level of arrogance. I mean, maybe that's something that we're getting at Manchester United now. A level of arrogance that they know best and they keep making mistakes. And all owners are going to make mistakes in football. I think that is absolutely nailed on. But the amount of mistakes that have been made at Nice, and I think at Manchester United in their first 12 months, doesn't really show a massive amount of learning. And what worries me is I go back to that statement that Sir Jim Ratcliffe made when he acquired Nice, and he said, we've learnt a lot from managing the Swiss club and owning the Swiss club, and we're fast learners, and we've rectified those mistakes. And that worries me a lot, because I look at the Nice approach, and it was to spend more money than Nice had spent in their previous 5 years, but they didn't get anywhere with that. They changed a lot of managers, which costs money, and they didn't get anywhere with that either. There's been a lot of change, a lot of upheaval, a lot of mistakes they don't seem to have learnt. And yet Sir Jim Ratcliffe was saying when they bought Nice, they've learnt a lot of mistakes from the Swiss club. They seem to be at Man United making mistakes, and it's like, you're not learning. Why is it you're not learning over such a long period of time? And yet you make out that you actually are. The scary thing about Manchester United is as well, you could almost argue that INEOS's ownership of Nice bears a striking resemblance of that of the Glazer ownership of Manchester United, where money has been spent, but wasted, where lots of managers have been employed and sacked. So people talk about INEOS coming into Manchester United and it's not their fault because the Glazers made all these mistakes and they've got to try and rectify them, even though they're working together. But actually, when you do your homework, and again, I would urge the media to do their homework. Again, we are just a fan community worried about our football club, looking for clues and looking for reasons. And you look at the Nice job and you go, well, it wasn't a nice job, was it? It was an average job. In fact, for the amount of money you spent, you pretty much replicated what they did for the 5 years before when they didn't spend that money. So, you know, you've come in with the money and you've not really done anything. And it's very similar to Manchester United under the Glazers over the last 10 years. Lots of managers, lots to spend. And actually, are we any better off? Well, we're actually worse off. So I worry a little bit because I look at what Nice are doing at Man United now. What INEOS are doing. It's very difficult with INEOS and Nice. I think that they're messing with my head. But I look at what INEOS did at Nice, and I look at what they're trying to do at Man United, and I don't see how they can learn from what they did at Nice anyway, because their approach at Nice was just to change things regularly, spend money. And at Man United, they've got a club that's on the brink because of PSR and is riddled with debt. And now the Manchester United approach from INEOS seems to be very opposite to that. No, we're not going to spend money. We're going to try and cut. So for me, they're walking into an area they've got no expertise on anyway, and they're going to do something very, very different with one of the biggest clubs in the world. I just feel like they're making it up as they go along. And look, I've got to be honest, some of the stuff I've mentioned in this video, I wasn't actually aware of myself. And I've got to put my hand up and say, look, the knowledge is power. And did I look into this as much as I probably should have done? Sir David Brailsford was doing a strategic review for Manchester United last year and everyone was kissing his arse. He's been at Nice since 2021 and it's not gone well. I just look at Manchester United and I think that so many forums, so many Reddit pages about Nice fans speaking about INEOS and basically saying, look, maybe their heart was in the right place, but that doesn't mean that they've done a good job. Maybe in time it will get better and they'll learn from their mistakes and they'll learn more about football. But expertise is something they don't have, and that has cost us a lot of money and a lot of mistakes. These people are now running Manchester United. We know the Glazers have got zero expertise. We've got 20 years of knowledge and evidence of that. If INEOS are coming in and they don't know what they're doing either, it just looks very, very chaotic. And also, it just reminds me so much of government practices in the UK over the last 20 years where cuts, austerity, that might probably doesn't work with society in the UK. It certainly doesn't work with a Premier League football club to be thinking that you can cut your way out of this. I mean, look, I saw the video, I saw the press conference, and we were talking about it on the 8 o'clock show. When the manager of Man United is talking about selling to buy in February and he's not even had a proper transfer window yet, it's staring us in the face. And I think those people out there who call themselves Man United fans, who are lying to us again, trying to twist and turn a situation because they just love this ownership, I think they need to wake up and look in the mirror. You are a contributor to the chaos. There is absolutely no strategy behind getting behind this INEOS Glazer partnership. It looks absolutely what it is. Chaotic, a mess, and actually already in the last 12 months, we've got a massive long list of horrific decision making. Whether it be about sacking and bringing a new manager in and then not backing that new manager in January and having that manager sit there today saying he's got to sell to buy in the summer. I mean, what sort of chaos is that? Also, the sacking of people which won't even save what Casemiro earns in a bloody week. Cutting monies to charity, raising ticket prices, rumours of raising season ticket prices next season, knocking Old Trafford down, and we're from the area. It's just, and not to mention Dan Ashworth. Oh, he's one of the best directors of footballs in the world. Bring him in. Oh, we fell out with him. Let's sack him. We don't need one anyway. I mean, you look at what happened at Nice. You look at the waste. You look at the decision making. You look at the amount of change consistently. You look at the same people who are involved in those decisions, and it's the same people involved in these decisions. And the bottom line is, I'm not going to sit here and say INEOS failed at Nice in the sense that Nice have got relegated, but they went into that club with massive expectations and they didn't deliver them. They failed. They failed. They didn't deliver regular top 4 Champions League football. And they've spent a lot of money trying to do that in a league where you'd expect. I think Nice has them in the top 4 consistently since INEOS came in, and yet they're not consistently in the top 4. At the very least, that Nice job is going to take years. Do we have years? Do we have years at Manchester United to sit back and cut back and watch everybody get bigger? I don't know. Get your comments in. Smash a like on the video. Apologies this didn't go out a couple of days ago. It's a little bit late, but it is out. Give me your thoughts. Take care.